Avati, would it be okay to have your video on and see you? Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, so good evening, everyone. I hope you're all YouTube link. Just give me a second. We're just live streaming this onto YouTube as well. Okay, and we are live. So, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be back here with yet another session, and this one is a very interesting one on cooperative cinema. So today we have a few distinguished speakers and guests with us. Basically, the cooperative that we would like to speak about or feature in this session is the Bhavishya Nirman Sanakishan Cooperative from Nepal. They have been doing phenomenal work on the grassroots in terms of providing credit, capital, primary sector development, agriculture, and so on to their members. So the movie that has been featured for highlighting this cooperative and the amazing work that they're doing has been produced and taken by the group called Around the World. So a lot of you must be already familiar with aroundtheworld.coop. If not, this is the opportunity where you can go Google up aroundtheworld.coop. That is the domain that they have. They featured several cooperative stories from around the world. And we have a couple of distinguished speakers, Abhinash Podel, who is from NACCFL, the Nepal Agriculture Cooperative Federation Limited, who is also a member of the International Cooperative Alliance, and Ms. Parvati Upreti, who is a manager at the Bhavishya Nirman Small Farmer Agriculture Cooperative Limited, the cooperative that is being featured today in the movie, and Ms. Cecile Beranger, the social economic researcher from Around the World.cooperative. So .coop. So we just jump into the movie screening, and right after that we can move on to the discussions with the panelists. So initially we'll have a quick movie screening of around 14 to 15 minutes. Yeah.
अनि त्यहाँबाट अलिअलि अब कृषिमा नि बस्नु त पहिल्यै बसे ऋण लिएको मलाई डर लाग्थ्यो के अलि डर लाग्थ्यो ऋण अब कसरी तिर्ने होला जस्तो लाग्थ्यो अब अहिले 2 लाख लिएको छ ट्र्याक्टरको लागि यहाँको खेतीको लागि
अनि त्यहाँबाट लोन लिएर तरकारी खेती अनि त्यसपछि पशुपालन गर्दै आइरहेको छु हैन
सहकारीले के गर्यो भन्दा पनि सहकारीले हामीहरुलाई लोन प्रवाह गरेर 9% को लोनमा प्रवाह गरेर गाई मैँसी पाल्ने एउटा जमरको अभियान सहकारीले गर्थे
अनि त्यसैले हामीले चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट लोन पनि लिएर फर्महरु खोल्यो अस्ति न त्यो राङहरु नि पालेको थियो हामीले फर्म छ उता सतखेलमै छ अहिले बस्ने ठाउँमा
पहिला मसँग यहाँ एउटा कन्या च्याउ थियो अहिले गोब्रे च्याउ हालेको छु तल हामीसँग काउली त्यसपछि गोलबेडा लसुन यो धेरै कुराहरु बढ्दै गइराको छ
पहिला नि धेरै 2-4 वटा भैँसी ल्याए त्यहीबाट ऋण झिकेर त्यसपछि चाहिँ मलाई फाइदा नभएपछि अलि घाटा लाग्यो हैन अनि अहिले फेरि अर्को ऋण झिकेर फेरि भैँसी ल्याए अनि अहिले चाहिँ त्यही भैँसीबाटै राम्रो भइराछ भैँसीकै लागि
86,000 छ है 86,000 छ चेक बनाउनु
हाम्रो समुदायमा चाहिँ कस्तो थियो भने हामीहरूको गाउँमा चाहिँ एकजना जो धनी व्यक्ति हुन्छ जसलाई हामी चाहिँ नेपालीमा साउ भन्छौँ, उहाँहरूसँग हामी चाहिँ कर्जा माग गर्थ्यौँ। उहाँहरूले चाहिँ कर्जा दिँदाखेरि चाहिँ अलिकति चर्को ब्याजमा चाहिँ लगानी गर्नुहुन्थ्यो, जसले गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँहरूले जुन बेला बोलायो हामी त्यही बेला काम गर्न जानुपर्ने हुन्थ्यो। अनि त्यसले गर्दाखेरि कहिलेकाहीँ आफू जान पाएन भने आफ्नो बच्चाहरूलाई पनि पढ्न जान छोडेर भए पनि हामीले गाउँमा पठाउनु पर्ने हुन्थ्यो। केही न केही धितो राख्नुपर्ने, जग्गा हुनेहरूले जग्गा राख्थ्यो अनि जग्गा नहुनेहरूले चाहिँ युवाहरू चाहिँ अलिअलि भएको जग्गाहरू साउकोमा राखेर उनीहरू चाहिँ विदेश गइरहेका थिए, खाडी मुलुक गएर दुःख गरिरहेका थिए। त्यहाँ गएर थोरै पैसा कमाएर आउँथे, जुन कि उनीहरू गएको ऋण तिर्न मात्र ठिक्क हुन्थ्यो। अनि त्यो विदेश गएर आएका युवाहरूले पनि कुनै राम्रो काम गर्न सकेन। आजभन्दा 7 वर्ष अगाडि हाम्रो गाउँमा चाहिँ धेरै माइक्रो फाइनेन्सहरू आउँथे, जुन लोन चाहिँ उनीहरूले अन्नधुन्न दिन्थ्यो। त्यो लोन लगानी गरिसकेपछि उनीहरूले कुन ठाउँमा लगानी गर्यो, के कामको लगानी गर्यो त्यो हेर्दैन। त्यो किस्ता चाहिँ महिलाहरूले जहाँबाट भए पनि लिएर आउनु पर्थ्यो। त्यसरी लिएर आउँदाखेरि कति महिलाहरूलाई चाहिँ त्यो किस्ता तिर्ने पैसा हुन्थेन, उनीहरूले सही सदुपयोग गरेको हुन्थेन। जुन लोन चाहिँ उहाँहरूले समयमा तिर्न सक्नुहुन्न, त्यसले गर्दाखेरि कतिजना रुँदै हिँड्नुपर्ने, कतिजनाले चाहिँ अकालमा ज्यान फाल्नुपर्ने समस्या देखिसकेपछि अब यसलाई समाधानको लागि हामीहरूले आफैले एउटा सहकारी खोल्नु पर्यो।
कृषकको दुध यहाँ आइसकेपछि त्यो कृषकको दुध कसरी आउँछ भने हाम्रो सानो किसानसँग रिलेटेड कृषकहरूकै मात्र आउँछ दुध। सानो किसानसँग जो आबद्ध भएको सदस्यहरूको दुध यहाँ आउँछ अनि उहाँहरूको दुध हामीहरूले कलेक्सन गर्छौँ हाम्रो सहकारी मार्फत। अनि हामीहरूले त्यो दुध यहाँ स्थानीय बजारमा खपत गर्छौँ। स्थानीय बजारमा खपत गरेर लगेको चाहिँ हामी यसै गरी खुवा बनाउँछौँ। खुवा बनाएको चाहिँ हामीले खुवा बनाउँछौँ, दही बनाउँछौँ, घिउ बनाउँछौँ। अनि खुवा चाहिँ अब अलिकति त्यो त्यसको अलिकति बिचको मार्जिन रहन्छ, प्रफिट रहन्छ, त्यो बिउ पसल पनि चल्यो, हाम्रो जीवन स्तर पनि माथि उठ्यो। अनि हाम्रो जीवन स्तर माथि उठिसकेपछि तपाईँको यो एउटा नगरपालिकाले जुन कृषकले उत्पादन गरेको दुध अन्तबाट ल्याउनु परेन, यो नगरपालिकामा न्यून मूल्याङ्कन तिरेर यहाँ दुध नगरपालिकाले खान पाउने भयो। त्यस कारण नगरपालिकाको पनि जीवन स्तर माथि उठ्छ।
हालसम्म हाम्रो सहकारीमा चाहिँ महिला र पुरुष गरेर 920 घरधुरी सदस्यहरू चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म सदस्य भइसक्नु भएको छ। प्राय हामीहरूको सहकारीमा आबद्ध भएपछि केही न केही काम गर्नुपर्छ।
अनि लगन लाउने, अलिकति खायो, अलिकति लगन लायो, अलिकति खायो, अलिकति लगन लाएर मात्रै गरे हो। यो दुइटाको पढेर मैले आफ्नो खुसीले हाले अब यो त चल्ने ठाउँ पाएँ मैले। उहाँले सहयोग गर्नुभयो, यति गर भाउजू भन्नुभयो पार्वतीले। अनि त्यो भएर म अलिकति माथि पुग्नु सक्छु।
बिना काम हामी कुनै पनि लगानी गर्दैनौँ। लगानी गरेपछि हरेक महिनाको एकचोटि हामी उहाँहरूले लगानी गरेको सही छ कि छैन, उहाँहरूले काम गर्नुभएको छ कि छैन भनेर
अनि त्यसमा त्यो तिर्न सक्ने हाम्रो कुनै आम्दानीको स्रोत हुन्थेन होइन। अनि त्यो नहुँदाखेरि अब हामीले समयमा उसको साउँ र ब्याज तिर्न सक्दाखेरि त हाम्रो जग्गै दिनुपर्ने अवस्था होइन। अनि त्यो भएको हुनाले चाहिँ अनि अब सासू ससुराको पाला चाहिँ थोरै पैसा चाहिने बेला नि साउ कहाँ गएर पैसा मागेर धेरै जग्गा जमिनहरू सिद्धाउनु भएको क्या हाम्रो। अब अब जात जातिमा चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ अब दलित जातिमा नै हेर्छ होइन, हामी मिजार हो होइन। पहिलाको हेरिकन दलित धेरै नै परिवर्तन आइसकेको छ हाम्रो अब सासू ससुराको पालाभन्दा त होइन। अनि अब यो मान्छेहरूको घरमा चाहिँ अब कस्तो व्यवहार हुन्छ त्यो पनि परिवर्तन भएको छ। तर यो सहकारीमा चाहिँ हामीलाई त्यस्तो पक्षपात होइन त्यस्तो चाहिँ छैन। हामीलाई जे होस् तपाईँहरू पनि आउनुपर्छ, अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ, तपाईँहरूको त्यो ठाउँबाट नि बस्नुपर्छ भनेर बोर्डमा राख्नुभयो होइन। समितिबाट त्यस्तो पक्षपात चाहिँ छैन। हुन्छ विभिन्न ट्रेनिङहरू हुन्छ होइन। अनि ठुल्ठुलो सरहरूलाई नि चिनिन्छ, परिचय हुन्छ, चिनजान पनि मौका हुन्छ होइन। जे होस् अब पहिलाको भन्दा त होइन, अब यो मान्छे पनि बोर्डमा छ भन्दाखेरि जे होस् अलिकति उमै राखेर छ भन्ने अब हेर्ने दृष्टिकोण त अलिकति फरकै परिहाल्छ होइन।
उनीहरूले विश्वास गरेको छ र हाम्रो भविष्यप्रति चाहिँ उसले चाहिँ अगाडि है विचार गरेर है भनेर नै नाम राखेको हो। भविष्य निर्माण भनेर राख्नुको कारण किनभने भविष्यमा के छ त कस्तो छ त्यो कुरा त अहिलेदेखि वर्तमानदेखि बनाउने हो। आज म एउटा जुन स्थानमा छु, आज त्यो स्थानमा मलाई सहकारीले मलाई ल्याएको छ भने किनभने यो मेरो मेहनत र हामी साथीभाइहरूको सबैको एउटा सहयोग र सहकारीले त्यो पूर्ण रूपमा मैले र हामीले कुनै पनि एउटा ग्रुपमा बसेपछि एउटा कुनै पनि हामी मासमा बसिसकेपछि एउटा नयाँ सोच त बनाउँछ। यो नयाँ सोच बनाउनको लागि हामीहरू सबै मिलेर आपसमा सल्लाह गरेर एउटा अब सोसाइटी सबै आपसमा हामी यो सबै होइन। हाम्रो सोच के छ, पहिला यो रासायनिक मल यो माटोमा कसरी पर्न नदिने। रासायनिक मललाई हामीले जमिनबाट नदिने बित्तिकै त्यो पानीमा पुग्न पाउँदैन र पानीमा नपुग्ने बित्तिकै हामीहरूले खाने पनि हुँदैनौँ, अरू जनावरले पनि खाँदैन।
एकजना हाम्रो सदस्य हुनुहुन्छ लक्ष्मी ढुङ्गाना, उहाँलाई चाहिँ एकदमै नयाँ काम गर्ने इच्छा थियो। उहाँले चाहिँ केही नयाँ काम गरौँ जसले चाहिँ आम्दानी पनि होस् र हामी महिलाहरू पनि अगाडि बढ्न सकियोस् भन्ने थियो। पहिला चाहिँ उहाँले म पनि इलेक्ट्रिसियनको तालिम लिन्छु भन्नुभयो, ल लिनुहोस् भनेर भने। अनि त्यसपछि उहाँको घरबाट चाहिँ पहिला नजाऊ, इलेक्ट्रिसियन भनेको त यो ठाउँमा सबै केटाहरूले मात्रै गरिरहेको छ, केटीहरू कसैले गरेको छैन भन्नुभयो उहाँको फ्यामिलीबाट। उहाँले चाहिँ यो क्षेत्रको पहिलो महिलाको रूपमा चाहिँ अहिले हाउस वायरिङ काम गरिरहनु भएको छ।
म एकदम पहिला त एकदम पिछडिएको कस्तो भने एउटा पिन्जडामा परेको सुगा जस्तै थिएँ म त्यो सहकारीमा आबद्ध हुनुभन्दा पहिला। अहिले चाहिँ के फिल भइरहेछ भनेदेखि अब यो भैँसी पालन गरेर अनि अब इलेक्ट्रिसियन बनेर होइन, अनि हामीले यही आएर यही भैँसी पालेर नै हामीले यहाँ घडेरी एउटा किनिरहेछौँ। त्यसैमा अब यसलाई उन्नति गर्दै गर्दै लगेर त्यो सहकारीको लोन तिरेर होइन, अनि जब पनि नछोड्ने, भैँसी पाल्न नछोड्ने, म्यानेज गर्दै लगेर अनि अब भविष्यलाई सफल बनाउला भनेर सोचिरहेको छु। त्यसपछि दिदीले नि धेरै हेल्प गर्नुभयो, सहकारीले नि धेरै हेल्प गर्यो। मेरो लागि त जन्मदाता नै भन्दा पनि हुन्छ लगभग होइन।
हामीहरू सबैजनाले सहयोग गर्छौँ, त्यसमा पनि अलि धेरै चाहिँ म पनि महिला हो अनि अरूहरू महिलाको पनि अलि धेरै कुरा बुझ्छु। अनि कहिले बेला त त्यही कुरा बुझ्दै नै अलि धेरै नजिकिँदो रहेछ है, जसले गर्दाखेरि अलिकति सबैजना दिदी दिदी भन्नुहुन्छ।
मेरो चाहिँ अब सहकारीमा आउनुभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ धेरै उ थियो, आर्थिक स्थिति पनि कमजोर थियो। अब आफैले उत्पादन गर्न सक्दा पनि हामी पहिलादेखि नै तरकारी पेसै हो भने चाहिँ अनि त्यो व्यापारीहरूले चाहिँ लगानी गर्थ्यो, हामीलाई थोरै बिउ बिजनहरू थोरै लगानी गर्थ्यो, उनीहरूकै भाउमा चाहिँ उनीहरूले लान्थे कि। त्यो भएपछि अनि सहकारीमा आएपछि चाहिँ आफूले जता बढी पाउँछ त्यता पनि बेच्न पाइयो। जहाँ मन लाग्छ त्यहाँ बेच्न पनि पायो। अब किसानीलाई त 2 पैसा अलि जहाँ बढी हुन्छ त्यहीँ गर्ने हो नि त। अनि त्यही भएर धेरै नै परिवर्तन आएको छ।
अनि हामीहरूले चाहिँ कसरी उहाँहरूलाई सपोर्ट गरिरहेछौँ भने उहाँहरूले उत्पादन गरेको तरकारीहरूको चाहिँ हामीहरूले हाम्रो सहकारीको फेसबुकबाट अनि त्यसपछि हामी सहकारीबाट कुनै पनि ठाउँमा गयो भने हामीहरूले माउथ टु माउथ अनि त्यसपछि हामीले फेसबुकबाट मार्फत एक त प्रचार गरिरहेका छौँ। अनि त्यो प्रचारको साथसाथै नै हामीहरूले हाम्रो केन्द्रीय सङ्घले खोलेको 2वटा पसलमा पनि हामीले लगिरहेका छौँ।
We work on the cooperative management, agriculture, and value chain marketing. We do have 995 cooperative affiliated with our organization, and there is small farmer bank also, and majority of the share owned by small farmer agriculture cooperatives. Banks provide financial service, and we do provide non-financial service for the same target beneficiaries. And we have 82% of women member within our networks. And there are 40% youth within our cooperatives, and most of them, they are already started agriculture entrepreneurs.
घरबाट सपोर्ट मिलेपछि मैले सोचेँ कि गाउँमा गएर पनि महिला पुरुष सबैजनाको पिरमर्का बुझेर उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ केही माथि उकास्ने अनि कसरी हुन्छ उहाँहरूको आय स्तर माथि उकास्ने भन्ने लाग्यो, जसमा चाहिँ मलाई पहिला सुरुमा चाहिँ केन्द्रीय सङ्घ र ब्याङ्कबाट चाहिँ एकदम सपोर्ट मिल्यो। मलाई चाहिँ यो साना किसानमा लागेपछि चाहिँ कस्तो भयो भने एउटा मेरो सानैदेखिको इच्छा भनेको चाहिँ सोसल वर्क गर्ने थियो। जब म यो फिल्डमा लागि परेपछि चाहिँ मलाई कस्तो लाग्यो भने आफ्नो काम भनेको चाहिँ त्यो कामलाई चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ आफ्नो चाहिँ शक्ति बनाउनु पर्छ भन्ने लाग्यो। अनि यहाँका चाहिँ सबैजना सदस्यहरूमा चाहिँ के छ भने यो सहकारीले बेनिफिट भन्दा पनि बढी चाहिँ सहयोगको भावनाले काम गरेको छ। अहिलेको यो ठाउँको लागि अनि हाम्रो लागि यो संस्थाको लागि नै यो सहकारीले अहिले आत्मा बनेको छ।
So we are back. I hope all of you had a good experience viewing the movie. We had a sneak peek into the foothills of the Himalayas, in fact, and seeing what happens really on the grassroots. So thank you for screening the movie. And I'd like to move on to our speakers for the day. We're starting with the cooperators on the ground telling their own story. So we would like to invite Ms. Parvati Upreti, Manager Bhavishya Nirman Small Farmer Agri Cooperative Limited, and Mr. Abhinash from NACCFL, who is a member organization of the ICA, Just one line brief about both of them. Parvati is a postgraduate degree holder and has gained academic knowledge in organic farming from Yokohama Prefecture and Muira Peninsula Research Center in Japan. So she's trained in organic farming. And Abhinand has been educated in majoring in finance and Masters of Business Studies. He has been working actively since a long time within the NACCFL since 2015. So I think both of them will now share more about how the organization works on the ground. I think we can go start with Parvati first.
Thank you. Namaste and good afternoon. I am Parvati Uprete, Manager of Bhavishya Nirman, Small Farmer Agriculture Cooperative Limited, Dakshinkali, Kathmandu. Bhavishya Nirman Small Farmer Agriculture Cooperative Limited is agriculture cooperative located in Dakshinkali municipality in the Kathmandu Valley, Nepal. It was established in 2012 under the cooperative that is replicated by Nepal Agriculture Cooperative Central Federation Limited. Till June 2021, it has 1,010 members, out of which 65% are women and 60% are youth. The cooperative has played an important role of important smallholder farmers lives, freeing them of the rest traps and creative opportunity for income generation activities such as livestock rearing, organic vegetable farming, proudly farming, and other small business activities. Service provide range from saving and credit facilities and training, motivation, monitoring, and marketing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Parvati. Shall we move on to Avinash? How interventions from the side of NACCFL have been creating more catalysts and ventures like Parvati's organization?
Okay, thank you. Namaste to everyone and good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank to the organizer for organizing such a great event. And it feels us immense pleasure to be part of such a wonderful event. And huge thanks to the organizer for providing us with the opportunity to feature our cooperative video in this important session and share some of our experience. Pleasure in meeting you all. I am Avinash Kodel. As you already mentioned, I am working at Nepal Agriculture Cooperative Central Federation as Program Officer, and I am also the member of ICA Asia and Pacific Committee on Youth Cooperation. Talking about my organization, Nepal Agriculture Cooperative Central Federation is the umbrella organization of Small Farmers Agriculture Cooperative Limited and similar type of agriculture cooperatives in Nepal. Till date, more than 1,000 member agriculture cooperatives have been already involved within our network, and we are able to provide the non-financial services to more than 1 million smallholder households. And while talking about the Bhavishya Nirman Small Farmer Agriculture Cooperatives and why we choose them, as a manager already told, it is one of the member cooperatives of NACCFL, and it's merely 30 kilometers far from Kathmandu, and it has been able to provide many services through one-door to its members. And besides providing financial services to its members, the Bhavishya Nirman Agriculture Cooperative Limited has been marketing the agriculture products produced by farmers, and they have been promotion of agriculture, organic agriculture farming, and they are also providing some agriculture inputs to its members, and they are also doing livestock insurance of their members, and also they are working for the capacity enhancement and providing various types of training to its members, and they have been promoting the organic farming, as a manager already told. So in short, I want to conclude that within the short period of its establishment, the cooperative is able to provide a diverse service to its members, Hence, NSCCFL selected this cooperative as a model cooperative and proposed to film that cooperative. Thank you all. If I'll be with you throughout the session, if something is there, and we'll be together. And I'll also be happy to learn and know new experience around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Abhinash. So just a quick question from the top of my head. I think this is a model very unique to Nepal. When you say the Small Farmer Agro Cooperative Limited. So can you just tell me what this SFACL model is in Nepal and how it works, or how it came into being, and just to get a background as to, if this is the same structure and entity that is spread out all over Nepal.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, while saying about this model, we say that small farmer agriculture cooperatives are of three-tier model. Basically, in our Nepal, there are mainly the cooperatives are two-tier. It means there will be members, and that members will form a board, and they will work on member benefit. But if you talk about the small farmer cooperatives, they will be three-tier. Three-tier means one tier, we assume that they will be members, and after members, the members will form a groups. It's compulsion to the members to form a group and intergroup, and the representatives selected from the groups and intergroups will form the main committee, and they will so that the main committee will be liable to make the policy decisions and other decisions regarding the running of cooperatives. Hence, we say the small farmer cooperatives are of three-tier. So one tier is the groups that will be formed at very primary level, at the local level. That is, we say in Nepal, 12. The groups are mainly 5 to 9 members, and from the representatives, they will be coming from the groups. They form intergroups, and the representative from intergroups will form the main committee that we call board of directors. So small farmer cooperatives have distinct model than other agriculture cooperatives in Nepal.
Okay. This is perfect. I think we have a much clearer idea. And I understand that this is part of a small farmer development program, which was carried back in the 80s with the support of the FAO and UNDP and so on. The model of SFACL. So yeah, thank you very much, Abhinash. So right. So I think now we will move on to the filmmakers themselves. Ms. Cecile Berenger is here. She's the socioeconomic researcher with AroundTheWorld.coop. So I think it's a very lucky group of people around the world going across the globe and trying to live, feel, understand, and capture the flavor of each of these collective enterprises across the globe. So I think you're a very learned as well as a lucky group of people. So we just want to hear what your experience was when you interacted with this cooperative, and how Nepal altogether was. What was your learning from your eyes? How this cooperative have been changing lives of people back in Nepal. Cecile, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ganesh, and thank you also for inviting me to this incredible event. So just a few words about myself. I'm Cécile Béranger. I'm a researcher in socioeconomic studies. So I study most cooperatives. I'm completing a PhD in Rochdale, so the birthplace of the cooperative movement. And then I'm doing research activities for Roma Tre University and an university in Florence, always on cooperatives. And of course, I'm part of the AroundTheWorld.coop collective, and as well I'm a researcher and also communication, and also carry out all the communication activities. I joined AroundTheWorld.coop in 2019, so really at the beginning. So I didn't travel the world with Sarandrea, unfortunately, but at that time I was working for the logistic aspect, let's say. That was quite an important aspect, because during a 1 year trip, if you think of all the logistics that you have to prepare, is like huge. And of course, for instance, I was working with finding visa, also flat accommodation, and it was really important one of the key aspects of my work was also to let cooperative understand how we work, how the field work will be structured, and why, for instance, we needed to stay with the cooperative members at least 14 days, because we are not just a journalist or filmmaker coming there and filming and then we left. But really, it's about creating and co-creating with cooperative members their filmmaking story. And if we think what inspired Around the World that COP series, I would say the first thing was started by Sara Andrea was to just combine their different jobs. So Andrea Mancori is filmmaker and Sara Vicari is a researcher on cooperatives as well. So they really wanted to just combine their work, because Sara, for instance, used qualitative methods and action research. So through qualitative methods, co-create a video making about cooperatives. And so it was really about methodology, because we're not just filming. Before the activity, we just organize a field work and a focus group with cooperative members, and then we decide with cooperative members how to structure the story. So we work without a script, so we don't have a script pre-organized, and we co-create the story together. So we don't have a story in mind before starting the video making work. And if we think about, of course, the experience of traveling the world, as I was saying, that was behind the scenes. So then I had the chance to join them in Brazil. So I've participated to the shooting of the cooperative Copage. It's an agricultural cooperative in the Maranhão state. And then in Poland the year after, because we have been stopped during the pandemic. And then we started shooting in September 2020, the last cooperative story. And of course, the main privilege, as Ganesh was saying, we were quite lucky, because for instance, for Sara, myself, and Georgia, who was another researcher of the collective, we really had the chance to see the cooperative movement declined in several contexts. So, we studied COP movement in the books, but here we really had the chance to see how cooperatives work worldwide, and how cooperatives decide to decline the cooperative principles in really different contexts. And if we want to share an anecdote about the Nepalese cooperative, I would say we can share it two, one from the logistics side and another from the Sara Andrea, who unfortunately are not here. But from the logistics side, it was quite challenging. Maybe it was the more challenging country, not because of Nepal, of course, but because Sara Andrea were traveling from Rwanda, and there was quite an important this level of temperature. So in Rwanda it was quite hot, and in Nepal at that time it was March, more or less. It was quite cold, and they had a huge flu during the beginning of their experience in Nepal. And of course, thanks also to the cooperative in Parvati, they managed to postpone the field work. So it was really amazing how they felt welcomed, and also because they were able to change the plan for them. And this is quite important, because it was really when we carry out this work with cooperatives, it's really we create a dialogue, and so create a dialogue. In that case, it was quite easy, because we feel really, really much welcome. And of course, for instance, Sara and Andrea, when they were traveling, they told me also that Parvati was trying guided them in the Dakshikari, just looking for new temples, and they were really amazed about how religion were coexisting in Nepal. And also they really liked the country. And if we think at the cooperative themselves itself, so I would say that the main aspect that fitted us for this cooperative is that really saving and credit cooperatives by implementing both training and monitoring activities can guarantee the implementation of sustainable improvement of persons' well-being. So it's not just giving saving and credits to members, but also assisting them, supporting them, and let become them also entrepreneurs. So they're not just receiving credit, but they can become entrepreneur and then be self-independent. And finally, to conclude, more about our experience from being a cooperative filmmaking collective, filmmaking collective. I would say that, of course, it's a struggle because we started to set up during the pandemic, and one of our main aspects was traveling the world, and the pandemic stopped us from traveling. So as many cooperative in the world, we have to shift from global to local. And so for now, at least we have started filmmaking activities with some local, so because now we are Rome-based, some local association trying to combine our research methodology, so filmmaking and focus groups to co-create the story together in the reality based in Rome. And of course, it is quite interesting to see how we can readapt our methodology in what we consider home. And because, yeah, really it was also struggling finding other initiatives to document, but we know from the other side that our methodology works, and that video making, bottom-up video making are important to also tell the story about cooperatives, because we have a lot of misunderstanding, at least in our country, about what a cooperative is, and tell a cooperative story based on co-creation is important, because cooperative is by itself co-creation. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Cecile. I think you've elegantly summed up both the challenges that you've had to face, as well as the lovely experiences that the team has had on the ground as well. So I think overall, it is a pleasurable experience seeing firsthand how cooperatives work and how changes have been happening to the way cooperatives work, especially in recent times. I think it's only going to diverge more, especially in the context of the pandemic since last year. So the way cooperatives operate, the mode, the form, how now people have to be reached out despite limitations, that's only going to get wider, I guess. But thank you so much, Cecile, for your sharing your learnings, and very, very interesting perspective that you have to share, since you're also from the development sector, working closely with cooperativism, doing your PhD as well. So good insights. Just a couple of things that I saw from an article that was shared by aroundtheworld.coop. I'll be sharing it in the chat box here, about collective action and human development, how this particular cooperative in Nepal has ultimately helped people in that area to come out of the clutches of money lenders, have access to credit which is reasonable, and collateral-free loans. I mean, these are all built upon 3 dimensions of sustainable development. I'm just going through whatever Around the World has already shared on the internet. The economic dimension, which is getting the loan enabled to get them into income generating activities, which is any kind of sustainable entrepreneurship and primary activities that they do on the ground. The social dimension, which is being proud of being a farmer, being independent, feeling included and accepted by the community. And these are just recurrent answers. I mean, people keep talking about, we were also discussing that in one of the other sessions, people keep talking about the need for good food, safe food and organic food. But unfortunately, nobody in the younger generation, our age or younger, is willing to get their hands dirty and get into agriculture in the first place. So I think cooperatives as a collective model, contributing whatever we can in terms, not just monetary terms, but time, energy, money, and getting safe food to our families and our local communities. I think this is a wonderful thing that is being done. And the third the dimension is environmental dimension, engaging in organic farms. So we all know that there's a lot of land degradation, depletion of quality of soil, and there's a lot of issues that come along with the use of chemical fertilizers. So organic farming is also, I understand, being promoted by the cooperative. So very, very positive sign for the rest of us. I hope more such cooperatives will be sprouting out in the coming days from the ground level or the grassroots, and hopefully more will be led by youth. So I'll just move on to the question and answers. The first one that Mr. Ritesh has asked is this a primary level cooperative as per the local act? I think Abhinash would be able to give more insight as to how the cooperative is registered, or Parvati, of course. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think I can proceed. In context of Nepal, we have a separate Ministry of Land Management, Cooperative and Poverty Alleviation, and that is basically responsible for looking towards the cooperatives. And that ministry, under that ministry, Department of Cooperative has been formed, and that department is basically liable for the formulating all the rules and regulations regard to run, establish the cooperatives in our country, and also to monitor them. After being our country being changed into the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, and the establishment of cooperatives, the authority for establishing and registering the cooperatives have been given to the local levels. But basically, Department of Cooperative is responsible, and the Cooperative Act has been formed in 2015 or 16, back in 2015-16. And that act basically governs all the cooperatives that are being established in our country.
Okay, thank you, Abhinash. I think that makes sense to Ritesh, who would ask the question.
Yeah, does that answer to the question? Or?
I hope so. Also, Ritesh or whoever in the audience would like to know more about the legal framework. We are also happy to share that we've done the national report on the cooperative law in Nepal, and that is available on the Corps for Dev website. I'll share the link to Nepal's LFA report also. It's called the Legal Framework Analysis. If anyone wants to know more about it, happy to share the information. I'm just putting that also on the chat, the Corps for Dev website. Right. So the other question that is here, I'll just read it out. What was one key difference that you noticed between the book knowledge of cooperatives and actually traveling around the world to cover cooperatives? I think this one's for you, Cecile.
Sorry, I can read the question.
Yeah. What was one key difference that you noticed between the book knowledge of cooperatives and actually traveling the world to cover cooperatives? I mean, as an organization or a group, ATW, what is your reflection?
Sorry, yeah, thank you. And actually, it's not that we have seen differences, but let's say that we often consider that cooperatives are the same everywhere, but they aren't. And for instance, I was reading the message from the Ankara and Malaysia cooperative that we documented in 2019, and we were truly amazed about the cooperative model based on being a cooperative in a school and providing school services to, of course, pupils and also teachers and others. And for instance, what we learned from this experience is that cooperatives are quite everywhere in all the sectors, and with an incredible number of models that are different in terms of governance and in terms of decision making and so on and so forth. Then we were also surprised to see a cooperative with a flat total governance in the US. So we were thinking that yes, or more like a capitalistic country trying to implement, let's say, a democratic enterprise, but also in a capitalistic way. But actually there we find a totally radical way of organizing their cooperative work. So they are workers' cooperative with a flat organization. And another case study that came now to my mind was also the case of Poland, so the last cooperative we documented. So they are a food coop, and as you were mentioned also, Ganesh, at the end of my speech, it's important also in terms of food security and safe food, having access to safe food, and they prove that through this food coop model that they can link, let's say, urban consumer of food with rural farmers of Poland. So of course they buy only local food, and they sell for members. So based on their model, volunteers can have access to safe food and organic food at interesting prices. So if you go to a, I don't know, organic shop, you will of course see that the prices are different. And if you are maybe a student, or if you have a big family, you cannot afford organic food in normal organic shops. So they really wanted to change access to food, and do not have access only in I don't know, luxury organic shop, but really for students and other big families to have access through volunteering 3 hours per month to safe food, and also link rural farmers. So it was really an interesting way of governance. So I would say at the end that it's really amazing how cooperatives can be declined in different countries, and also in different sectors. So, and another thing, of course, that is important to consider is that cooperatives are not only a old model, they innovate themselves. So you have a lot of new cooperatives and new typologies of cooperative emerging worldwide. I think also to the New York cooperative, so this platform cooperative. And that was really amazing, because especially if you are in the development sector, you only study maybe agricultural cooperatives or workers cooperative, and that's it. But really, it's amazing to see that they are really in all the contexts, and they are keep innovating. So they are not just an old idea replicated in 2021, but really it's something that evolved and also can answer to the main global challenge that are happening now. So that was mainly the real difference, that what we were learning from books, let's say.
I think that's a wonderful and a lucid answer. Thank you, Cecile. I hope that answers that question. So the next one, that again, I think this one is also to Cecile. Something I'm also personally curious about: how can creative industries help cooperatives and social enterprises tell their stories better? Basically, the kind of things that ATW is doing, creating a narrative. Often at times budget is a big constraint. So how can cooperative cinema help in such a situation? I think one more question I'd like to add to the mix, since we are on the subject. The basic notion of art is that, or cinema or any creative industry, is that my art is better than yours. And that's the underlying notion that artists often feel. There is a social angle here, which you're telling a better story about a cooperative. But on the other hand, I mean, since this is a discussion on cooperative cinema, how can artists come together as a collective and work together when this underlying notion is already at play, or when there are multiple divergent artistic ideas that come into play? So in a field like cinema, theater, or any cultural endeavor, how does cooperativism fit in there? So I think it's two questions to you again, Cecile.
That's perfect. So that's a huge question, actually. So it would be quite difficult to answer properly, but I will try. So I would start with your question, Ganesh, first, as how different artists with different ideas can come together and share a unique story. Actually, we keep not fighting, but I'll say argue that, I don't know, for instance, often Sarah, George, and myself have a clear idea because we are more like researcher. And of course, Andrea is the one with the camera, so he knows how to capture the best picture and the best light. And so sometimes this doesn't fit. So it's really, in our case, as we are like not specifically artists, Andrea of course is, but maybe the three of us aren't. So it's really, I would say, combine the research with the video making. So because we are used when we carry out an interview to just go there and ask some question and write it or record with our mic, but we don't think about the lights, the face when the interviewees speak, and how also to combine the quality of the video with the output of the research. So especially at the beginning, we have noticed that we have really huge and important, let's say, arguments inside the interview, but we didn't have the right light or the right picture. So it was really trying to combine having access to good content from a research perspective, and also a quality in terms of video making. And to answer also how, let's say, the content creator industry can support telling cooperative story, and of course the budget, that is a constraint that also we noticed, because after the world trip we started contacted cooperatives, but we also noticed that they were also always in a short budget. So this is quite a challenge, and I think it's still being a challenge, but I would say that we cannot use the same instrument to tell a cooperative compared to tell another business form of enterprise. So of course here I think that again our methodology is quite important, as we co-create, so we work without a script, and this is quite important. As I was said previously, cooperatives are really different in different contexts, and if you want to really to keep what the innovation that they bring in this context, in their context, co-creation is important, and working without a script as well. So here I would say that in that case, it's not just a video maker filming the activities of the cooperative, but it's also creating the story together. So the video maker has not already in his mind a story, but the story is in the mind of the cooperators. And we notice also in terms of budgeting, that's important to have an external foundation who finance the video project. So for instance, now we are doing that way, and because of course cooperatives are often low budget in terms of communication, but that's, yeah, it can be an opportunity also invest more in terms of communication, because it can bring also more investments and other activities in the future.
Thank you again so much, Cecile. We've got another question to Ms. Parvati Upreti. Has the film helped you approach similar cooperatives or collectives interested in setting up a cooperative? Has it helped you as well to share best practices and knowledge with other cooperatives? I mean, what is the impact of this film on you to share this with other cooperatives and collaborate and so on?
And thank you for the question. We have the opportunity to provide the information about our opportunity to all of the viewers with a brief description about how we work. These types of film provides motivation and encouragement to farmers and youth. Different types of cooperation have been provided. different types of training and programs that are provided to members of the opportunity cooperation have been portrayed in a way that other people can inspire to work their own country. Agriculture and finance is the so to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Parvati. So that makes a lot of encouraging sense to hear, about training, capacity building, and also encouragement among youth. One interesting thing that I want to quote is that this cooperative provides training, monitoring, and marketing opportunities. And till date, the COOP has 920 members, out of which 740 are women. Parvati, please do correct me if I am wrong, because this data is from November 20, from the ATW article. So the majority are women and 557 are young people. Out of 920 members, you have 940 women, 557 young people, young members. So this is also a very encouraging thing for the youth engagement in the cooperative ecosystem. Avinash, do you like to add something?
Yeah, that figure is little added till now.
Right.
And as NSSFL, we are promoting the cooperatives through agriculture cooperatives throughout our country. So we are basically promoting the engagement of more and more women in our network, because as Nepal is a male-dominated society and women are felt backward in financial aspects also. So we are promoting that type of agricultural cooperatives that will promote women. Basically, if you look at most of our cooperatives, more than 80% of the members are women. So as NSSFL being the umbrella organization, we are promoting and just forming the rules and policies that favors the engagement of women in our cooperatives.
Okay, so majority is women, which makes a lot of sense. I think, especially in a country like India, it is often said right before they formulate policies, you educate a woman, you educate an entire family. Ultimately, that is the kind of impact that you have in the local community, as well as social enculturization of the next generation, education of the kids. All of that gets covered ultimately. So this is great. Any other questions? I'm just wondering if our audience, 134 participants we have, or even my colleagues, Shivali, Shri, Inez from our global office. Anybody has a question, we can probably take the last one or two before we wind up. Okay, so for the information of the audience, this article which I was referring to, I'm just posting it in the chat box from around the world. So they've been documenting their experience about shooting the movie. So I think I'll go for one more last question. Cecile, so when you guys go to meet organizations like this, when Parvati's cooperative and so on, do you have a long series of exchanges and communication? Is it a long drawn process? Or, I mean, basically I'm trying to understand whether how much of it is actually scripted and how much changes once you get there and understand the cooperative, and once you're staying with them for a couple of days. Does it change significantly from what you had expected in your head when you see it for real in its flesh and bone? So how much is it on the go and how much of it is scripted as a movie? From the production angle, I'm asking. Yeah.
Thank you. So actually, yeah, and so it was mainly my work as was carried out the logistics to have the first contact with the cooperative. At least I would say 1 month or 3 weeks before, to organize the field work. So we were telling the cooperative if first we could document their story, and then if they could support us also in carrying out the fieldwork activities. So for instance, normally we spend 2 weeks with the cooperative, but in some case even more. I think in the case of Brazil, we spent almost 3 weeks. In the case, yeah, I think in the longest maybe. And also in Rwanda as well. It also depends if we have to move from, I don't know, from an headquarter of the cooperative to another, or if we have to visit the farming activities or other kind of activities carried out by the cooperative. But yeah, it was really a long work. As I was saying, we are not just shooting and then go back home. It was really trying to build a dialogue and a relation with the cooperative. So of course, the first contact is we are never with the camera. We are just trying to knowing better each other, and then start how we can tell this, start to understand how we can tell this story. So then we carry out this famous focus groups that works as the script. So together we ask questions to all members, not all members, but a group of members, what's the cooperative for them and how they will just tell their story. So doing some sub questions. And then after this focus group, we start thinking about the script, and we carried out our video interview. And at least in some cases, I think also in the case of the Brazil, always, because I was more involved, I've been there in the field. We have carried out like, I don't know, maybe 8-10 interviews. And then after, when the script that we have in our mind, we build the video. And then when the video is finished, we share it with the cooperative, because if they are not happy with something, or if they think that we are not told a thing, or we are not covered all the activities carried out by the cooperative, we just can rearrange the video. So it's really a participatory way of building the video. We bring expertise, but of course cooperatives bring all the knowledge that they have of the cooperative and the way that they want to tell their story. And but at least if we count the first contact, that is 3 weeks before the field work, or even more. I think now in Poland, actually, we started more than 1 month before. And then all the fieldwork activity that were approximately 2 weeks, and then all the creation of the video that would be another maybe months or 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the other activities that we were carrying out. It's like huge time consuming, as we're not preconceived video with a preconceived format. It's really independent video and independent stories that are really different. And of course, if you watch all our videos, you will notice that they are different each other, because they have also a different script.
Perfect. So I think one learning, I mean, from primarily learning that from what you said, is filmmaking is not an easy job at all. As much as fun as it sounds to be, I mean, traveling around the world and finding these, it's not a simple job at all, with your crew, your unit, all the technical work that has to go in between that, the script and the field work. I think it's quite a lot of effort and homework to be done from the part of the filmmakers. That's something encouraging, as well as a realistic experience sharing that you've done. I think a lot of our audience, young people, would love to pursue filmmaking, photography, things like these, and even ultimately, hopefully, we can see them sharing these feel-good stories and stories of cooperatives, where people come together and how successful collective action has been. So I hope a lot of our audience are able to emulate and learn from both the ATW team as well as the cooperatives that we're showcasing here today. We had a good round of interest from a subgroup activity that we just did before this session, which is mostly on filmmaking, photography, and freelancers. So I hope this translates into some good filmmaking process in the end of the day. If there are no questions, then we can probably request Cecile to share her contact to support us. We have initiated forming women's cooperative with multi-purpose objective under the Self-Supportive Cooperative Society Act, form more than 100 women's cooperatives with more than 4,000 members in each society. All members are part of self-help groups as well, need your support in documenting their stories and experiences. So I think that one is for Cecile. From Ritesh.
I can share my email address, maybe.
Yeah, sure. You could probably put that in chat box and participants can reach out to you.
Yes.
Perfect. So I think then we can come to the end of the session. We've just slightly run over time, but pretty much finished 4-5 minutes into the line. So the next session, we'll have open and informal interactions from 3:30 to 4, the next 30 minutes. And from 4 to 6 is the next session, which is the cultural show, mostly cultural exchanges. So I would request all of our participants to join either here or on YouTube. Thank you very much for our panelists today for joining us from different parts of the world. Abhinash, Parvati, Cecile, all of you from Europe, from the Indian subcontinent, and sharing your stories. Hopefully in the next edition, we would be able to speak much more and deeper about cooperative cinema and explore how, as a collective enterprise, such creative pursuits can be done. But this sets the ground for conversation as well as generation of a lot of ideas, because you've already done it the first iteration and still doing it. So best wishes to the Bhavishya Nirman Cooperative as well as the ATW team. May you make friends all over the world and may your stories continue to reach the farthest reaches of the globe. Thank you very much, guys. See you soon in the next session. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.